Might have been the most gut-wrenching loss of the season because it might have been prevented. We'll get to that coming up next. And a big homestand coming up and a chance to clinch the division. All that more coming up in this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Man, that was tough. An 11-10 loss to finish off a terrific road trip for the Milwaukee Brewers. They went 4-2. It could have been 5-1. Could have went 5-1. The Phillies coming up later on tonight. Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. This was the first time, I think, we've questioned Pat Murphy maybe a couple of times this year. Not a lot, but I think there was some question mark Sunday regarding Murphy in a decision that he made involving Devin Williams. We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. We'll tell you that the show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks, go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use the code all in lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. All right. They lost in extra innings, and it looked like the Brewers were going to be gifted this one. First of all, they battled back from 5-0 deficit. I usually don't give game recaps, but I mean, this was such an interesting game. One of the games of the year, if the Brewers do win it, on a litany of games of the year. You know, they were down 5-0, came back to take an 8-5 lead. Arizona ties it up late. They send it to extra innings. They tie it up at the 8th, 7th, 8th. They send it to extra innings. And the top of the 9th inning, Jeff Bannister, the interim manager for the Diamondbacks, chooses to walk Bryce Terang to pitch with 2 outs to pitch to Jackson Chourio. Now, I don't know. Did Bannister think that he was walking Chourio to get the Terang? I mean, that was bizarre. And Terang was having a nice day, but it's Jackson Chourio, who's one of the best hitters in baseball right now. Hit a 3-run home run earlier in the game. I didn't get that at all. And I looked for quotes after the game about Bannister, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But still, then Chourio comes up, delivers a base hit. So we go to the bottom. He delivers a triple. Gives the Brewers a 10-8 lead, and we're thinking this is another case where Chourio is being right in the middle of a rally. In fact, if it wasn't for him, you know, the Brewers might not have met in this game because he was the spark early on to get them on the board when they're down 5-0 in a 3-run home run. So the Brewers take the lead as Chourio delivers a rocket for a base hit, a triple, a 2-run triple. So 10-8 going into the bottom of the 10th inning. So you get to the bottom of the 10th inning, and the Brewers, the Diamondbacks got the leadoff guy at second. Jared Koenig has just pitched the bottom of the 9th inning. Did a nice job. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then comes the bottom of the 10th inning. And you're thinking, okay, here comes Devin Williams, because the Brewers have a chance to stay within 1 game of the Dodgers. Yeah, we're talking we're talking about a 1 and 2 seed here. I know some of you guys aren't interested in a 1 and 2 seed, but we're talking about a 1 and 2 seed here. The 1 may not be in play, but the Brewers were a game behind the Dodgers in the loss column going into this game, into those final couple of innings. The Dodgers have lost 6 of their last 10, so they're not playing real good. So this was a big game for the Brewers in terms of getting the second seed, because it is so huge getting the second seed. And if you don't think this is big, getting the second seed, which I explained earlier in the week, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't. So a 2-run lead going into the bottom of the 10th inning, you got to bring in Devin Williams. You stay within that 1-game margin. And I know you got the Phillies coming up, but we're trying to win this game. This would be such a sweet victory, sweeping Arizona on a number of different platforms. And I know if he comes to the game, it would have been 4 of his last 6, as Murphy explained. But still, you got to win that game on Sunday when you have an opportunity. You battled all day. Your guys battled and battled and battled. You took advantage of a glaring, boneheaded managerial mistake by the acting manager for the Diamondbacks, Jeff Bannister, pitching to Chourio. Huh? We're going to get to that later. And then you don't go to Williams in a game like that, I think, where you win that game. They've got tremendous momentum anyway, and nothing really gets these guys down. But imagine if they win that game. They stay within a game of the Dodgers coming home to play the Phillies Monday night. Arizona, you sweep Arizona, one of the better teams in the National League, a team that's fighting for their wild card lives. That would have been the biggest win of the year had they held on and got the job done. Biggest win of the year. That was a tough loss. We'll see how they bounce back. This team is resilient. We know that. But 11-10, Arizona proceeds to score 3 runs without Canny registering an out. And that was that. But again, I don't know how you're managing the team and you're sitting in the dugout when you're on the verge of sweeping Arizona. Now, I can see if this is in April or May, but we're talking a critical game. Let's worry about Monday. You know what happens in these situations? We worry so much about using a guy 4 times in 6 games or whatever that we don't use him. And then what happens? The next couple of games, we don't use him. And we end up giving him we end up throwing him some extra credit in a blowout situation. No, let's win that game now. Now, Murphy did say he was going to come. If it sounded like if the Brewers had gotten to 2 outs and were winning, it sounded like they were going to bring in Devin. But he did not want Devin going against multiple hitters. And I think the fear here is, Devin's been pitching some innings. In some of these innings he's coming in, he's going 20 to 25, 27, 28 pitches he's throwing in those innings. So, as you know, lately Devin has not been automatic 1, 2, 3. Friday night he was. I believe Friday night. Did he allow a walk Friday night? I don't remember. But I thought he was pretty efficient Friday night in that 2-1 win. But several other games before that, man, he'd been walking guys and giving up hits and all that. But in this one, I think you got to use Devin Williams and shut the door down and get the victory and come home to mama. Everybody's cutting on that plane, coming home to Milwaukee. And we got a 3-game set with the Phillies on tap. And you worry about Devin Williams on Monday night, if you have to use him or not. Tuesday, Wednesday. You had such great momentum. Not that it was ruined, but that was a tough one to lose. Maybe it was just tough for us fans. Us fans, we kick the curb and all that, and we're so disgusted in games like that. I know if I was in the dugout and we lost that game, I might have thrown all the bats out of the dugout. A bobblehead did break today. My first bobblehead of the year. The Chris Capuano bobblehead that was sitting up here went flying right out the window. I got a screen that popped up and I just chucked it outside. God, that was a tough one. And I haven't been upset too many times this year, but that one I was, because you fought so darn hard in this game. You wasted. I mean, they came back from a 5-0 deficit against Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen, they came up, a guy is an all-star. They rallied up 5. The Brewers, I think, were Arizona at that point was like minus 5,000. Minus 5,000 on the money line when they're up 5-0. And the Brewers battled back to take a lead, 8-5. Lost it. Piamps has got some forearm tightness. That's why he couldn't go anymore. So let's update this. Well, we'll update this after a commercial break. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers will tell you about the Reds here. And a big week for the Milwaukee Brewers. With the Phillies coming to town and Arizona coming in on Thursday. How about that? You don't see Arizona the entire year, and you see them twice in a couple of weeks here. Phillies just keep winning too. We'll get to that coming up next. Chuck Freeman here on the Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You've heard of us talk about FanDuel right now. And I'm telling you what, for you customers out there who love the NFL like I do, the NFL Sunday Ticket. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with YouTube TV, the base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday out-of-market game, every afternoon game on a Sunday afternoon. All you need is a Google account, a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Minus 5,000 Arizona was at one point today, and the Brewers battle back. That's the kind of battle that they've been doing all year long. Anyway, but take advantage of this, and you only have like the rest of the week to do it through the 22nd. I think that's coming up at the end of the week. Again, all FanDuel customers, all you got to do is bet $5, get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and you can stay on and be a regular subscriber like your boy Freems is. We're coming right back here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here on a Monday morning, man. Yeah, I wish we had better news, but it was a 4-2 road trip. I mean, I'll take that. A 4-2 road trip. By the way, our podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because you great Brewer fans out there. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. I said at the beginning, a week ago, I said if they go 4-2 in this road trip, they are going to be very much in this race. And they very much are. Now, here's the deal. Philadelphia is going to be tough to catch for that #1 seed because they're 4 games out in the loss column. And Philly right now has, well, they got the tiebreaker. They've won 3 in a row. The Brewers can come back and even things up with a sweep of the Phillies. Obviously, very, very tough. But you're going to have to sweep the Phillies if you have any shot at Philadelphia. The Dodgers, you're 2 games behind the Dodgers in the loss column. Would have been 1 if you used Devin Williams on Sunday. But you're really 3 games behind the Dodgers because they have the tiebreaker. They've beaten the Brewers 4-3 this year in the 7 games they played. So it says 2, but you're really 3 games behind them in the loss column. So that's disappointing. They have the tiebreaker on us. The Phillies, yeah, they won. They won Saturday and Sunday. They came from behind and won on Saturday, and they won on Sunday. We'll talk more about the Phillies coming to town here in a little bit. But let's not get – and I've been concentrating a lot on the 1 and 2 seeds right now because the Brewers have just blown away everybody in the National League Central. I'll say this, winning the National I don't take it lightly at all, obviously, because we've been covering the NL Central race all year long. But, I mean, that's huge. And you know how many division titles there have been in Brewer history. Not a lot. There's been a few in recent years, okay, but before 2018, there weren't many. 2011, and then you got to go back a few years. You got to go way back a few years. But 1982? Yeah, I think 82 was it. 82 to 2011, because 2008, they were the wild card team. So, yeah, winning a division doesn't grow on trees. And don't take it for granted. And they deserve a wild celebration for winning that division title. And it's going to happen. They got a magic number 3 right now with a couple of weeks left. But they're going to get it done at home. The Cubs, who are chasing them right now, are hosting Oakland in 3 games at Wrigley Field. And I think Oakland's going to come in there and take at least 1 game. I mean, Oakland is one of the best bad teams out there. We saw them earlier this year against the Brewers. The Brewers were able to go out there and have success, but Oakland is going to fight the Cubs. And again, it's just a matter of time. It's going to get the Brewers will clinch the division sometime in this homestand with that magic number of 3, without question. And there's going to be a celebration. It'll be cool to be out there. I'll be covering it in the locker room. Maybe not so much in the locker room because there's champagne flying everywhere. But yes, the Brewers are going to have another NL Central Division title. And still in balance, the Philadelphia Phillies. And, Jackson Chourio, let's talk about him again. I feel like I talk at him a lot, but you can't stop, but you can't not talk to him about him. Walking Terang to get to Chourio, first of all. No disrespect to Terang, but is he ever? Do you ever really want to walk Terang to get to anybody? I mean, Bryce Terang. I mean, you're walking him to get to who? Jackson Chourio? No. Contreras? No. I mean, I'm not going to go down the list, but I mean, if there's somebody behind him, you let Terang. If you're Jeff Bannister, the manager of the year in Arizona here, if Terang gets a base hit and that run scores from second base, it's a one-run game. You're gonna have a runner on second base to start the game, to start the bottom of the 10th inning. What are you doing? Why are you putting the go-ahead run on first base with Jackson Chourio on deck? That is one of the most bizarre moves I've seen in a long time in baseball. And then Chourio delivered. Not one part of me would ever want a piece of Chourio. Not at all. If I'm Arizona, I thought maybe they were going to walk Terang and Chourio, which would have been, still, you're loading the bases there, but you don't pitch the Chourio. And I was trying to look in the Arizona Republic. Nobody really asked him about it. They did ask him, and he said it was on him. He says it was on me walking Terang and pitching the Chourio. He basically said that's on me. Nobody asked him, well, why did you do that? I didn't see any quote. Why did you do that? Yeah, you're taking the blame, but what was your way of thinking? What was your rationale? Did you actually think your pitcher was going to get Chourio out? Did you think he had a better shot at Chourio than Terang? Nobody asked him that. Somebody said, what about that? Oh, yeah, that's on me. Well, then why? Sometimes people are just afraid to ask these questions. But come on. Logically, why would you pitch the Chourio? Yeah, it's on you, but what was the thinking behind that? I don't get it. But Chourio just continues to be Jackson Chourio. He has been unbelievable since the Phillies series, the last time the Brewers played the Phillies. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit as well. And by the way, congratulations to the Appleton fans for the Timber Rattlers. They had 4,100 at the Midwest League playoff game on Sunday afternoon. 4,100. That is phenomenal. Did not go to a game this year, but I've taken my kid before in the past, and it's Rob Zerjoff and his crew. They're amazing. They're amazing. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. We're going to get to the Philly series coming up next. Brewers got some work to do against the Phillies if they want a few things to happen. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers. PrizePicks, guys, PrizePicks, that's the way to go. Maybe Jackson Chourio is the way to go with PrizePicks. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less up to 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll right in. You can win up to 100 times your money. Maybe you like Chourio over on hits. Maybe you think he's going to get a home run on Monday night. Okay. Maybe you'll think Contreras, who did not get into that game on Sunday, maybe you like him to bounce back and get a hit on Monday night against Philadelphia. Who are they facing? Zach Wheeler. Well, download the PrizePicks app today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Get $50 instantly when you play the $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. PrizePicks. $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win. You just get the $5 bonus when you play $5. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game with PrizePicks. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. And down the stretch we come. Yeah, the Phillies, we've been talking about this series for a while. The Phillies coming in for a 3-game set. They came from behind and they won their game Saturday against the Mets. And then Sunday they won 2-1. You know them, Bryce Harper, 28 homers, batting .289, 82 RBIs. The Brewers did get swept in Philly earlier this year. Since then, Adames had 9 home runs at that point. He's hit 23 in the last 86 games since they played Philadelphia. How about that? Adames had 9 home runs coming out of the Phillies series last time. The next 86 games, he would hit 23 more home runs. Chourio was hitting .211 at the time coming out of that Phillies series. And we were wondering if Chourio should take a trip down to the minor leagues. And you know what Chourio has done now. Alec Bohm is coming off the IL. Bohm is coming off the IL. He had a hand injury, I believe. He played in Sunday's game, but he's a big bat for core part of the order for the Phillies. So he was on the 10-day IL. Here are the pitching matchups for this series. Monday night tonight, Suarez goes for the Phillies. Savale for the Brewers. Montes, my guy Montes, who I want to see start in a playoff game. He is up against Zach Wheeler. And Aaron Nola goes on Wednesday. And Aaron Nola has not been Aaron Nola over the last couple of starts. In fact, he hasn't even made it past 5 innings in his last 2 starts. So he's a guy I know wants to get back on track for the postseason. And then Peralta. You know, the Phillies, their magic number is like 8 or 9, I believe, to clinch the well, it might be less than that. They're 9 games up on the Mets. I think they're 8.5 or 9 up on Atlanta as well. Phillies will be clinching very soon as well. Just a matter of time for them. They're looking to clinch the number 1 seed. It's between them and the Dodgers, with the Brewers on the outside looking in at this point, but still very much in contention. But getting swept earlier in the year against Philadelphia, the Brewers have already lost a tiebreaker to those guys. The Phillies, I think the way to get to them is you got to take this first game. Got to take this first game with Suarez on the mound against Savale. Zach Wheeler, I like him. And Nola can't be. I don't think Nola's going to continue to pitch as bad as he's been pitching as of late. But saw one of the Philly writers throw some darts at us. Philadelphia is going to Milwaukee, you know, the land of brats. Well, I don't think he said Fonzie, but usually, you know, when people take shots at us in Milwaukee, they like to throw the Fonzie thing in there, and they like to roll out the barrels, and they like to throw this, like they feel like they're condescending toward us, which people like to do to us here in Milwaukee. They like to, you know, especially the East Coasters, they're so condescending toward us. It's just terrible. So yeah, I saw this guy's article, and he was talking about, the land of Robin Yount and the land of Bratwurst and the land of roll out the barrel. Okay, we've heard that before. I hate to tell you, we've heard it all, and we keep rolling, because we love it here. We don't like the winters, but we love our summers. All right, and a great weather week all week for the Brewers and Phillies. 3 night games, 6:40 that first pitch coming up. We're going back to those starts, the earlier starts in September. 6:40. You get it on Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. You can get all 162 of Brewers baseball on Sirius XM. Maybe you want to flip over to Phillies side. They'll have that broadcast as well. You're always curious to hear what the other broadcasters got to say about our teams. So I always like to flip around on that. And of course, Locked On Brewers. You get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, run all the major downloads. Please, there is an alert button on there somewhere on wherever you are, Apple, Google, iTunes, wherever. Tune in. I don't know if we're on TuneIn, but we're on a lot of different download applications. Wherever you are on and you download your podcast, please favorite us, hit the search button, and look for us, and then favorite us, and we'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Please, our growing YouTube page, hit Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. We're here Monday through Friday. The playoffs in October. For however long the Brewers go, we'll be here 7 days a week talking Brewers baseball with you, our favorite team. That was a disappointing loss. Yes, the most disappointing loss of the season, because they could have used Devin Williams and had a series win Oh, well, they had a series win, a series split, a series victory against the Diamondbacks. Getting ahead of myself. Got the Diamondbacks coming back in next weekend. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Have yourself a great week, everybody.